If you're considering buying or selling in Spokane, you need to watch this video because prices have tipped and maybe in the wrong direction. We're talking about what direction prices are going now that we've passed our seasonal peak here in Spokane, what's going on with inventory and what 2025 is going to look like ahead. The best deals might be presenting themselves here very soon. Hey there, my name's Haydn Halsted, your Spokane real estate resource, and my team helps people move in, out, and across Spokane, Washington, and the surrounding areas. And today, let's dive into the numbers. And as we've wrapped up June and our peak real estate season, let's see what the numbers are doing and how it could affect your real estate decisions over the next 6 months. So we have already seen our peak season come and go from a peak high of $468,000 dropping down to $450 for the month of June. So now this was anticipated, as if you watched my videos from last month or months prior, I always mention that May, June is typically the highest month for home sale prices, and we start to already see our prices drop heading into the wintertime, even though it's the middle of the summer. And what I think is misinformed, or my opinion on it, is that a lot of people will say that people go on vacation during the summer and they're not as active buying a home because of that, which I think is kind of funny, because who would go on vacation if they're actively looking to buy a home? What I think is really happening, or why prices come down starting July, August, is because we have the most amount of inventory on the market than we have had all year. We've been collecting inventory all throughout the year, and it's piling up to the biggest amount because people are still willing to hold their house on the market during the summertime thinking it's going to sell if they hadn't sold months prior. So when we've started to open up our spring market, March, April, May, June, any of those houses that didn't sell are now sitting on the market, plus all of the inventory that we're bringing to the market each month. So in my opinion, I think that's what causes prices to start coming down, is because we see the most amount of inventory during this time. And I'll show you some of the numbers to prove that. So far in 2025, we have had the most number of new listings hit the market since really 2019. And so if we tend to compare right now to a more normal market, which would be 2018, 2019, and 2018 year to date from January through June had about 400 more homes listed on the market, but we have an increase of 9% from just last year of homes being listed. So that is a lot of properties coming to the market and not nearly as many going pending. So looking at the pending sales, we're at almost half of that number. It's an increase of 4.1% from last year. So we have 9% more listings, but only a 4% increase in the number of pending sales. So there's another 5% that is being added, just sitting there on top of the current pending transactions. Current active inventory that's causing that little bit of a slowdown in our market. And so if we look at what's actively sitting on the market across the Spokane County MLS, we see that on a monthly basis, we are at the highest monthly amount we have seen basically since 2018. July of 2018 saw just slightly more homes sitting on the market, just about 11. So over the last 7 years, we're hitting the highest point of monthly inventory that we've seen. And if we look by year and year to date, meaning January through June, which I think gives a more accurate picture of the real estate market as a whole for the year, we're sitting 17.4% higher than we were last year. So inventory, we have 700 more homes on the market than we did last year. And again, we're becoming relatively equivalent to 2018, 2019 in terms of how much variety or inventory there is to pick from on the market. Now, this is not causing our average days on market to add up too much. For year to date, we're still at 13. And on a monthly basis, we have been increasing over the last few months. We're at 16 days on market for the month of June. And I've noticed that it does seem that there are some homes that are still selling very quickly. I've been in I submitted 3 offers last Wednesday from the time I'm recording this video, and all 3 of them were competing offers against other offers on properties. Generally, there's only maybe 1, maybe 2 other offers on that property, but we're like coming in with a decent offer, or strong enough offer, and then but maybe we're asking for closing costs, or maybe we're coming down on the price by like $5,000, and then all of a sudden we're having to adjust and make up the difference to try and stay competitive if the buyer really wanted the house that bad. So it's kind of an interesting market right now where, yes, inventory is stacking up, but on those houses that are really attractive or look like really good deals, they're still standing out to at least one other buyer out there that's willing to come in aggressively. Because especially one that I offered on up in Mead, was listed at 525. It was a great deal. We came in above the asking price, but we're asking for closing costs. And then there was another offer that came in that had a large down payment, was also paying over the asking price and not asking for those closing costs to be covered. So we ultimately lost out on that one. So the numbers don't tell the whole story, where it's like things are, yes, kind of slowing down, but if that house is really dialed in and super well taken care of, they're selling quickly. I mean, we've had 3 to 4 of our own personal listings in the last month all sell within a week with at least 1 to 2 offers above the asking price, because we're marketing them properly and getting them prepped for the market, doing all the landscaping, pre-inspections, all the good stuff. And so we've looked at the new listings, we've looked at how many have gone pending. And so now looking year to date at what has actually closed, we're only up 2.5% in terms of closings, because a lot of those pendings, even though there's 4% more pendings, not all of those are going to go through, and they fall through. So now we have 9% more listings in our market, and then only actually 2.5% more closings. So realistically, there's a difference of almost 6.5% between the numbers of homes going on the market and the numbers of homes that are actually selling. So currently we're just kind of seeing a slow burn of added inventory. We're not seeing this flood of inventory by any means. It's a pretty gradual increase over time, but it is slowing down the market. And if you've watched this channel for a while, you've probably heard me talk about months supply of inventory being one of the best ways to determine what's going on in the market right now. And we've hit one of the highest month supply of inventory that we've seen in a long time. Back over the winter in November, we were at 3.5 months supply of inventory, but it's also the winter, and that was the highest peak that we had seen. Also not crazy surprising at how slow Q4 was, but now we're middle of the summer in 2025, sitting at 3.5 months supply of inventory, which was an increase of almost 30% from the prior month. So we're definitely seeing a little bit of that slowdown happen right now if we're sitting that high. And so now technically we've kind of transitioned out of that seller's market, because I'd really only consider the seller's market to be anything that's 3 months and less. We're starting to enter that boundary area of more balanced market, which I would say is anywhere from probably 4 to 6 months. It would be considered more of a balanced market. Then it starts to jump into that more buyer's market where it's 6 months plus. So we're still quite a ways away from there. I highly doubt that we would go that extreme this year, but we're definitely seeing things slow down quite a bit. And that's likely why we're seeing a little bit of a price reduction here from that peak high of 468 that we saw last month to about 450 this month. On a year-to-date basis, we're still doing pretty decent, though. We're seeing gains from last year, up about 1.4%, which was kind of what I was predicting at the beginning of this year, releasing some of my market predictions this year, was that we'd see a modest increase around 1 to 2% in home values this year, and still technically just slightly below that peak high of 2022. So overall market conditions have stayed still relatively flat over that 3 to 4 year period of time. So if you are looking to buy, I think this is one of the best opportunities to start looking, because sellers are going to start chasing the market down. They're going to be reducing their price, but likely not enough. And the days on market will stack up, because they're just kind of chasing the market to the bottom instead of scooping under and doing a large price reduction just to get the property sold. And that's going to be where you can come in and likely put together some sort of good deal. Additionally, interest rates recently hit the lowest point they have in the last 88 days. And even though they're still higher than what we would want them to be, that definitely alleviates some of the pain of those high interest rates right now. So if you find yourself not sure if 2025 is the right time to buy for you, I would consider the fact that there are more homes available than there have been in the last 7 years. Interest rates are coming down, and just remember that the more affordable homes get with those interest rates, the more buyers are going to get off the sideline. You will likely be better off getting into the market now, hopefully having a refinance opportunity in the future, and then ride the appreciation wave when interest rates finally do come down and all those buyers enter back into the market. And I wouldn't wait too long, because once the fall hits, that's when sellers are going to really start considering taking their home off the market. So really we're in that sweet spot between July and September where sellers are still giving the market an opportunity. We're going to still see that active inventory add up over time while prices are coming down. So if you need help moving in, out, or across Spokane, we'd love to help you out. You can reach out to me and my team using the link down below. Schedule a meeting with me on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.